In today's video, we're going to talk about seeking versus radical awakening. Seeking is the loop where you think you are walking the path of awakening, but all you do is accumulating information, teachings, retreats, workshops, webinars, meditations, practices, whatever that is, but you are not getting stabilization in your awakening. You think that accumulation of information and experience is transformation, but it isn't, right? It isn't. That is not the path of awakening. What the path of awakening implies is going deeply, vertically, not horizontally. Accumulation, depth, transformation. That is the big difference. Seeking is horizontal. Finding and stabilizing is vertical, depth, transformation. You can only transform if you go deep, far more deeply than you ever thought possible. This is the process of self-realization, deepening your realization of yourself so much so, and stabilizing it, establishing that knowing of your infinite, eternal nature so deeply that any sense of separation disappears. Awakening to your infinite, eternal nature means knowing through direct experience, lived experience, that I am awareness and that I, awareness, am infinite, eternal existence or being or presence or consciousness. Awareness itself. That is what I mean by awakening. Living my life with the knowing, lived understanding, lived and felt understanding of myself, that I am infinite eternal being. Fully awake in the dream of form. This is what radical awakening means. Fully awake. Awakening all the way through in every part of your being. You no longer feel as a body-mind system. You are a blank, empty space. And I know that this is something difficult to digest, and I know that for some of you, believing what I'm saying right now can be difficult and challenging, because I've been there, I've walked this path, I was in the same position of thinking that the awakening path is supposed to be difficult, it's supposed to be hard, we are supposed to suffer and struggle and figure things out, because that's what gives the value, that's what brings the grace of transformation. But that isn't so. The struggling, the fumbling is not working. So what is working? First of all, for radical awakening, you need a solid foundation for your awakening. And that is what most seekers lack. And that is what differentiates seekers who are on their way to awakening from seekers who are on the path of awakening. Those who are on their way to awakening, they're just still seeking. They might be having glimpses of their true nature and deep states of peace and love and joy, but they don't know how to repeat that experience at will. When you are on the path, you know exactly how to spend time with your timeless being very clearly, very precisely. That is the foundation. So radical awakening is about crystal clarity. It is about precision in your understanding and in your practice. It is about effectiveness. It is about transformation, radical transformation, fast transformation. So that is what I mean by radical awakening. Awakening all the way through the layers of separation, all the way through where you live as the one. The alternative for seeking is radical awakening. Instead of going horizontally about your awakening path, you want to go vertically if you want results, if you want stabilization, if you want a true knowing of your infinite eternal being. On the radical awakening pathway, the first step is instantly recognizing your infinite being. The second step is knowing how to repeat that experience at will. Spending time with your timeless being is the only practice that we need. But what supports the process of deepening our knowing of ourselves as the infinite eternal being, doing specific emotional healing as the presence of awareness, and knowing exactly the itinerary, knowing exactly the stages, so that we can know what is the path that we are walking and what are the finest tools that I can use for each stage in order to make my work the most effective possible. And what that does is brings very fast, exponential transformation. You will feel that you're in a rocket of transformation, or you have taken the highway. Radical awakening is also about bridging the gap between information, horizontal, and transformation, vertical, depth. And what bridges this gap is the actual clear knowing of how to be aware of your infinite eternal nature at will. That is the key. That is the foundation. If you lack the foundation, nothing else will stick, because all that awakening is about is knowing and living your infinite eternal nature. And understanding along the process, how does that translate in your day-to-day life? So this is the difference between seeking, which keeps you in horizontal development, personal development. What does that mean? It means developing your ego, your separate sense of self, by accumulating experiences and information and thinking that you are going to reach that depth, that deep peace and fulfillment that you are craving. But that is not possible when you are just sitting on the surface, accumulating, developing your horizontal dimension. What you actually crave is depth. And that depth can only come from spending time willingly, knowingly, consciously with your timeless being. Because the more you spend time with your timeless being, the more you know your infinite, eternal, formless being. And the more you know it, the more you become aware of yourself as that, the more your sense of self changes from this separate sense of self to feeling yourself, I am awareness. Now, what is difficult about this journey is how you navigate it, because the layers of conditioning are pulling us back into forgetting, basically. I am happy that you are here, and I thank you for having interest in this topic.